Finally, we come to an advanced internal project type, the investment project. The investment project is used to capitalize the cost of a project to a fixed asset in the fixed asset module via the elimination step. You can also eliminate to a specific GL account in the general ledger module or to another project. An important thing to keep in mind is that the investment project is like a fixed price project in that it uses the estimate system to calculate the % complete and the elimination step to move the cost when complete to another module. The biggest difference is that there's no revenue, customer, or invoicing involved over the other fixed price projects that we've seen. In our example, we'll use it to capitalize the costs on a balance sheet in a WIP account during the construction of an asset, then we'll capitalize it on the fixed asset ledger at the completion of our project. The setup you'll see is pretty much the same as what we've seen before. We need a project group and we need some ledger posting setup. Additionally, there's setup that needs to be done in the fixed asset module if you're going to eliminate to a fixed asset. However, that's beyond the scope of this course. Let's hop into AX and take a look at the setup. So again, we need a project group. In this system, we have the investment project group already set up. And what we need to then be concerned about is that we need to where our journalizing happens. And then when you select the investment project type, these things will deactivate themselves. But you still need to have a cost template to tell the system how you're going to process the transactions and figure out your % complete for your elimination step and how often you're going to do this. In this example, we've set the journalizing to be balance, which is where we want these costs to end up when we journalize. We could set it to P&L and it would hit the P&L accounts. But then when I ran the estimation step, it would move them from the P&L to the balance to the WIP account where they're held until the asset is capitalized. So most people would set these at balance rather than P&L. So we'll leave them there. And then once we've set up the project group, we need to have some ledger posting set up for these accounts. Remember, we're dealing only with costs. So we need to define the project costs, both for expense and hour and then items, what accounts they're going to use, as well as the WIP accounts. Really, the WIP account is the most important thing if you're using the journalizing settings for balance. You'd only set these if you're P&L, posting to the P&L the cost during the month, and then you're using the elimination step to move it onto the WIP accounts. So let's take a look at a simple transaction example, and you'll find that the flow is very simple in that we create the project. During the project, we post project transactions to it as the costs of creating our asset. And then at the end, when we're 100% complete, we'll eliminate it to a fixed asset. You'll notice, though, there's no invoicing because, again, it's an internal project, so there's no customer associated and no on-accounts or invoicing that needs to be done. So let's go to the project list page, create our new project. So we'll create our investment project. We'll use our project group that we just created. Notice that we can't create a contract because it's an internal project. We create our project. If you look down in the revenue recognition fast tab, you'll find that there's an estimate project. Again, it has nothing to do with revenue recognition, but we do need an estimate project to be able to use a cost template to figure out our % complete. And we also need a period code to figure out how often that we do our estimate process. So we also need to establish a forecast so we know when we're done. So let's establish a very simple forecast. We'll have a journeyman work on this asset for 100 hours. Notice if I go to manage, there's no on account. I cannot create an on account. I cannot invoice because, again, we're not connected to a customer. We're doing an investment project, and that's an internal project. So now let's go in the first month. Let's create some activity. So in May, our journeyman worked 50 hours. Post it. And now we need to run the estimate system. Again, it's like a fixed price project in that we run the estimate system to see how complete we are. When we're 100% complete and posted, then we can eliminate this time to a fixed asset. So let's run the estimate. We'll use our cost templates. And you can see that we've calculated that we're 50% complete. If we go to the totals, you'll see that's a little bit different. Instead of worrying about the cost to complete and the revenue to be recognized, now we're worried about the cost to complete and the amount that we're going to capitalize, and this is based on the forecast. If we switch over to general, this is where we then assign what asset we're going to eliminate this thing, or to ledger or to project. We'll pick fixed asset. We're going to eliminate it to this piece of furniture. You need to establish these inside of the fixed asset module. You can't do that from the project. And then we also need to establish what value model this thing is going to be eliminated to. So let's post it. If we go look at the posted transaction, really nothing has happened because we are capitalizing our costs directly when we do the journals or the timesheets or the other project transactions. If not, if I was posting to the P&L based on my journalizing settings, then I would see a journal entry here moving them from those P&L accounts to the balance sheet. All right, so let's head on into June and let's post another journal. Our journeyman's going to work another 50 hours. So let's run the estimate. So again, it knows now 6:30 is my next estimate. We'll run it. Now we're 100% complete. Notice I could delete this estimate and run it again. One thing I wanted to show you was, we hadn't talked about it yet, is there's this one option. It's very handy to say set cost to complete to 0. That means you're going to force it to be 100% done no matter where you're at. We'll do that. Gives us the same result. So now if you look at totals, we're totally done, nothing to complete, we're ready to capitalize. So the first thing we do is we have to post. Notice now the elimination button has become active. So now if I eliminate it, I can set the project stage to finished. If I wanted to, let's leave it off. Post it. Estimate's been eliminated. If I go and look at my ledger posting, you can see that it moved it to a fixed asset. And if I go look in the project itself, that the project has been eliminated to the fixed asset. Oh, I need to refresh. You can see that my fixed asset number that it's been eliminated to.